Boys and girls, we're going to go through number 10 first. First thing you always want to do in graphing is make sure you solve for y. So I'm going to add 1/2 x on both sides, which will get me negative y is equal to 1/2 x. I'm sorry, it was going to be subtracting 1/2 x. That's the only way we're going to cancel it out here. So you have negative 1/2 x plus 2. Then I'm going to divide everything by -1 to get rid of this -1, which means the opposite side is going to become it's going to become the opposite of what it was. So negative divided by negative is a positive 1/2 x minus 2. There's my equation that I'm going to use. So we're going to make a table. I have my x's. Now they don't give me the domain, so I'm going to make my own domain. And then I'm going to plug in 1/2 x minus 2 here. And then I'm going to end up with my y. So each time, I'm just going to multiply whatever x I put in times 1/2 and then subtract 2. Times 1/2 minus 2 times 1/2 minus 2. Now, you could have picked whatever domains you want. I know I'm going to have to multiply by 1/2, which is dividing by 2. So I'm going to pick domains that are very easy to divide by 2, like -2, 0, and 2. And then what you're just going to do is you're just going to solve them, so that you're able to find out y. So this one, you get -3. 1/2 times -2 minus 2. Here you get -2. And here, 1/2 times 2 is 1. 1 minus 2 is -1. So I'm going to go ahead and plot those points. -2, -3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 0, -2. 1, 2. And last, 2, -1. And you're going to see it forms, you're going to use a ruler and make sure you draw a straight line. And there is your graph of that equation. Next one. 5x minus 2y equals 7. We're going to do the same thing. Whenever you're graphing, you have to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. -2y is equal to -5x plus 7. Then divide everything by -2. Now you're going to get a couple of weird fractions, but there's nothing wrong with this. -5 divided by -2 is positive 5 over 2 x plus 7 over 2. I'm sorry, minus 7 over 2, because it's positive 7 divided by -2. 7 over 2. All right, and if you wanted to, you could change that to the decimal form if it helps you understand it better. Now, at this point, we're still going to make a table, but I'm going to rely a little more heavily on my calculator to do the computation. There's really nothing you could put in for x. You could put in decimals, and then you'll end up with a whole number. But because you're going to be multiplying by decimal and then subtracting by decimal, I'm just going to use nice round numbers such as -1, 0, and 1. And then on my calculator, I'm going to do 2.5 times -1, and then minus 3.5, and you end up with -6. Again, if you were using the fraction form on your calculator right here, you'd make sure you would do 5 divided by 2 in parentheses times -1 minus, and then in parentheses 7 over 2. Always put your but I'm going to go ahead and use this because it's a little bit easier to put it in my calculator. When I put in 0, I end up with -3.5. And when I put in 1, you end up with, it's 1 times 2.5. And then minus 3.5, you end up with -1. So I can definitely plot these 2 points exactly because they're going to fall right on the line. -1, -6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up. It's going to be right down here. And 1, -1, it's right here. And one more, 0, -3.5. So 1, 2, 3.5. So with a ruler, you're going to make sure you draw your line, and there it is. Again, if you use a different domain, you still would have ended up with the same graph. Last one. I told you guys that I wanted you to graph this using the intercepts. So we want to solve for y. Always, it's much better if it says y equals. I'm going to subtract 1.5 on both sides, 1.5x. Sorry, make this a little neater. Negative 1.5x plus 9. Then I'm going to divide everything by 3. Negative 1.5 divided by 3 is negative. It's 0.5, but I'm going to leave that as a fraction. And then 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now, at this point, once I get my equation, I can solve x or y first. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and solve for the y-intercept first because it's usually easier. Because in the y-intercept, I'm going to take my equation, and I know x is going to be 0. And I end up with y equals 3, which would be the y-intercept is the point 0, comma 3. Let me go ahead and graph that. And you'll notice that I have to make my x and y axis. Make sure you label it x and y. So 0, 3 would be 1, 2, and it is right over here. All right. X-intercept. Same equation, but now I'm going to make the y 0. Subtract 3 on both sides to cancel it out here. And to solve for x, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is negative 2 over 1. I get x equals positive 6. So that's the point 6, comma 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to have to estimate because I ran out of room. And there is my x-intercept. And then I'm going to make sure I have a line that goes directly through those 2 points. And that is how you graph using the intercepts.